creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
I think we may have just witnessed one of the most embarrassing leaked group chats of all time. Because it freaking belongs to the Vice President of the United States and his top officials. And they were chopping it up about bombing another country and talking shit about Europe. I know. This sounds too insane to be real, but somehow it is. And what's crazier is how this group chat leaked in the first place. So according to reports, on March the 11th, so 3 weeks ago, the Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg was accidentally added to a group chat on Signal. Now, firstly, the Pentagon themselves say that platforms like Signal shouldn't be used as a classified communication channel in the first place. And secondly, the fact that they had a random number in the group for that long is wild. Anyway, journalist Jeff immediately thinks this is a prank, right? There is no way he's in a group chat with JD Vance, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, Michael Waltz, Trump's National Security Advisor, and a bunch of others. So to start off with, Jeff doesn't think too much about it, until they start talking about plans to carry out airstrikes on Yemen. You see, for context, after the Israel and Gaza ceasefire broke down recently, the Houthis started attacking ships traveling along the Bab al-Mandab Strait again. The Signal group chat was the Trump administration's response to this matter. And according to the leaked messages, several of the members were pissed about having to be the ones to save European trade. They said things like only 3% of the US trade runs through there, while 40% of European trade does. JD Vance, of course, jumped in on this topic and said, "I just hate bailing Europe out again." To which the Secretary of Defense replied, "I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic." All caps. Bro, imagine Europe reading this right now. Now, eventually in the chat, they came to the conclusion by saying, the US military are the only ones on the planet that can do this, so they probably should carry out a response. And keep in mind, this is all while Jeff the journalist is sat there reading these plans in a parking lot of a supermarket. He still believes this has gotta be fake, but the messages that he read included the precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timings. So he decides to go check Twitter at the time detailed that they were supposed to carry out these strikes, and sure enough, it was freaking real. Bro, dropping a fire emoji and a fist bump after carrying out airstrikes on another country is insane. And what's crazier is apparently we're only seeing a portion of what they spoke about in this chat. Because Jeff said that if he leaked all of it and it got into the hands of a foreign adversary, he said it could harm the American military and intelligence personnel. When asked about all of this at the White House today, President Trump denied knowing anything about the incident. Honestly, one of the craziest stories of the year so far.
I think it was leaked on purpose. JD Vance wanted to send a clear message to Europe. America is done playing babysitters.
This lady's daughter just tested positive for lead in her bloodstream. So this mother went home and tested everything. She said, 90 swabs. I watched it this morning and I posted it to my story. And then I went to go look for it now and it's gone. So she's posted an update saying they took the original post down. But here's the thing. She took 90 swabs, went through all her house, tested. Only one thing came back positive. A cereal. Commonly eaten by children. Ooh. I'm just going to say that because they gave her violation points and they took her post down when she said what cereal it was. So I'm going to tag the post and go take a look at it for yourself.
Cheer, iOS, if you know, you know. Protect the children at all costs. Wow. Man, my goodness. Armageddon will be 100 times worse, and half of the world will be sleeping.
I'm currently experiencing an earthquake on the 27th floor. I might die. Can you see this?
Wow.
Can you see this? Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Can you see the pool water coming down? Holy shit. My heart.
Yep, once again, she just accepted it.
Einstein himself predicted that we would see this one day. The most powerful telescope in space released this image yesterday. This is the result of light bending its path around a massive object as it travels through space. This is actually two galaxies in a line from our perspective. So this one in the center is closer to us, and this ring around it is another galaxy behind it. The mass of this galaxy is literally bending the fabric of space. So this is that galaxy. But as light from the background galaxy travels through space towards us, it curves with the fabric of space itself. So instead of taking a straight line to reach us, it takes all of these different paths, which is what forms the ring. It's just completely distorted from that curvature and from the magnification effect that this galaxy has on this galaxy. This is kind of like the edge of a magnifying glass. Even though it's completely distorted, you can still make out some features like these arms and these spirals. So this background galaxy is definitely a spiral galaxy and probably looks something like this. But instead we get this phenomenon called the Einstein ring, and these are some other examples of where we've seen it, and they're all gorgeous. The Einstein predicted that we would see this before he ever...
You know, the way she said that, I thought we found a white hole. Wow. Is this real, folks? Is Yellowstone volcano active right now?
How does it make you feel when you see reports of people like Mark Zuckerberg and all these billionaires creating these nuclear bunkers?
I mean, it just seems silly to me because, first of all, it's incredibly naive because when the EMP comes, right, it just takes out all electricity. You just explode a nuclear weapon 300 miles above, Oklahoma, and goodbye the power grid, right? So whoever's in their bunker is working on a backup generator, and that backup generator has only so much fuel. And if you can't pump fuel ever again, you suffocate in your nuclear bunker. Sorry, Danny.
Who survives?
I figured these bunkers aren't for nuclear war, but instead to wait out the riots that will come after the economy tanks completely.
The most dangerous food for your liver is not alcohol. It's not sugar. It's not high cholesterol rich foods either. You're going to want to save and share this video. This food can become lodged into your fat cells for up to 18 months within your liver and cause non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This substance is found in mayonnaise and virtually all of your salad dressings. Almost every restaurant cooks and deep fries with this substance. It's found in protein bars. It's found in chips and crackers and all the things you're snacking on in between meals. And these foods can cause spikes in your blood sugar, which spikes your insulin and leads to insulin resistance and fatty liver. All of the chips and crackers that are labeled as zero sugar, they're loaded in omega-6 fatty acids, which are extremely inflammatory. And the most dangerous food to your liver, seed oils. These are industrial oils exposed to hexane that makes gasoline. Best foods to cook with are tallow, lard, grass-fed butter, avocado oil, ghee butter. Best things to get rid of fatty liver and to help heal your liver is time-restricted eating. And if you want to learn more about time-restricted eating, comment TRE in the comments below, follow and like, and I'll make part 2.
Okay, so seeds oil. Man, that's all we use, seeds oil here.
This was the only governmentally confirmed case of possession. This wasn't like the books or the movies or the false accounts you hear about. If those cases were legitimate, I can assure you we would have intervened. This is real.
In 1974, a group of scientists opened up a research facility called the Atticus Institute.
Our goal was to conduct unbiased empirical research on exceptional human abilities psychokinesis, ESP, precognition, things that are typically considered fringe science or parapsychology.
And for 2 years, it went about as well as you would expect. A whole lot of nothing. That was until 1976, when a woman by the name of Judith Winstead was brought to their door.
She tested beyond what any of us thought was even possible. There was no measure, truly, no measure for her abilities.
If you can, try for 7 this time. Any combination.
3 and
Wow.
4. 3 and 4. 1 and 6.
I understand how peculiar it might seem to hear her abilities described in this way, but they were godlike.
Judith blew through every single test that they had, but things started to get dangerous.
Oh, it's very trying.
We had about 10 different degrees between us, including 1 in medicine, 3 in psychology.
Can you please stop that,
Can you
Judith?
please stop that, please?
We'd really like to continue.
We knew that was not normal.
After an incident with an intern, they called in the U.S. government.
Dr. West!
How many noses does a monkey have? 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 How many?
With everything that they were doing, they might as well have just been kicking a hornet's nest.
All psychological and pharmacological explanations were ruled out. The blood sample came back with impossibly high electrolyte levels. A completely unknown molecular compound was found in her tissue. Something was inside her. No doubt about that. Not a disease, not a parasite, an evil.
These are not theories. Demons are real and moving all around the world.
New York City, very interesting place, where they supposedly threw this massive building together in a single year, the Empire State Building. From 1930 to 1931, a 102-story high, 1,250-foot tall skyscraper that was the tallest building in the world until 1970. 12 months or less. We are told this was done. Remember, they have to work through winters. And this story gets extremely interesting and begins to show us how they do this and how these buildings are quickly thrown into the narrative where people didn't even have a chance to verify what was even really going on in the early 1900s, where they're telling us that the Waldorf Astoria was constructed in 1893, and then they demolish it in 1929, making way for the construction of the Empire State Building. So immediately, alarms should be going off in all of our minds. This narrative has just started, and we have already found something massive, where they were knocking down Renaissance Revival style hotels after just 36 years. Now, a side note, I just want to add in my personal opinion at this point, where you can believe whatever you like, but I believe that these buildings, as we've seen in Chicago, were actually constructed somewhere else in New York City. And they were demolished in 1929, but not to be replaced by the Empire State Building. I believe that the Empire State Building was always here. And these construction photos are ridiculous, where they are clearly edited. And they even admit that some of these photos were basically to trick the public when they say that this famous photo of the guys sitting on the beam was arranged as a publicity stunt. All a part of a campaign promoting the skyscraper. Now, this is for the Rockefeller Center, but only 1 year after the Empire State Building. So they were in the business of doctoring photos during this time period, manipulating the public. So this is not a shocking accusation at this point, since we have seen this so many times, especially when the identity of the actual photographer remains unknown. They have a lie on the wall. What else can we find? Remember, they have to get all the men. They need to get everything ready. And then, after all that's done, knock out the tallest building in the world. All completed in 1931. When they start putting this building in the movies, like King Kong, and showing the world that this is the brand new building, where we all know how the industry works at this point. We all know how it goes. We know that it promotes the narrative that it wants to, and it promotes the people that are in the group, and that's fine. They can do that. But it is our job to understand what is going on, and what has been going on for a very long time. where it says, "It is the first of many iconic roles the building will play on the silver screen, and among its most important pop culture moments, in my opinion. This is an old world building that they are just throwing right into our timeline, right during the Great Depression, and pretending like it was never there before. This is a magic trick, and I bet you they were laughing the entire time."
So, if all these old buildings were already here, then wouldn't the Indians have stories about them?
Still eating undercooked meat? These holes on the brain MRI are not holes, they are parasites that this patient got by eating undercooked meat. They ate invisible parasitic eggs that then hatched all over their body, including their brain.
Wow. I think this is raw pork, not any other meat. What do you think?
These 4 deputies, all 4 from Harris County, Texas, gone within 6 weeks, and they're putting a big S word on it. I don't know, y'all. Something about this is not right at all. I get it. Stress is real. Mental health is real. I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying, all 4 of these people, same county, same office, all gone within 6 weeks from unaliving themselves? Something is not adding up, y'all. It gotta be something hidden deeper behind the scenes. Were they about to speak on something? Or were they involved on something that was about to get brought to the light? Like, what the hell is going on? The thing I don't like is how fast they swept this shit under the rug. They just like, oh yeah, they all 4 of them unalived themselves, and that's the end of the case. But I'm telling y'all, when you see patterns like this, it's not just a coincidence. Somebody knows something or somebody saw something. I feel like they cleaning house. Something went down in Harris County that they probably knew about and they didn't want to come to light. So these people might have had some answers. I don't know, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
Not normal. I think they saw something they shouldn't see.
Something very frightening and strange is happening in the Vatican, for which there is no logical explanation. There recently the Pope opened the so-called holy doors, which are opened once in 25 years, and during their opening, something frightening began to happen. First, during the opening, the Pope was startled by something. You just look how tense he is and his face is scared, and then all the people who were there were scared because after the opening, there were cries of a baby. But how is that possible if there were no people in the audience, let alone children? Many believe that these sounds come from the underground library of the Vatican. The length of this library is a record 85 kilometers, but there is a theory that these archives are stored not only literature, and contained there is a fallen angel that the Vatican hides in this giant library, and allegedly it is this angel emits baby cries, and it is in this library supposedly stored the Stargate found in Uzbekistan.
Pope is lost.
So the Pope is supposed to be alive, which I think he genuinely is, but only just about. Like, he is so half dead. Did you see him on the balcony? So they wheeled him out so that, because all the crowds were obviously gathered, all nice people just, you know, ooh, well done the Pope, ooh, God this, God that, whatever, you know, each to their own. So they wheel him out, obviously, and I honestly think, so I think he's strapped to a board, right? Like this, like underneath the white clothy thing that they wear. No idea what that's called. I think he's strapped to a board like that. So they wheeled him up. So he's like this. He's lying flat with his breathing tube and his oxygen and, I don't know, his catheter in. So he was like that, and then they righted him like this. And then they pushed him out onto the balcony. I think then they got a white roby thing, right? And I think that they threw it over him. So he's under the robe like this. If you look at the video, and then they basically got one of his little, I don't know, choir boys, I don't know, what do they call these people that, you know, facilitate the Pope? One of his people, peeps, a cardinal, whatever, to come through behind him. Do you know, like we used to do when you were little, and you put your, so he does this, and then someone comes behind and puts their arms through, and pretends to be his arms.
What?
When you leave this, watch the Pope. They literally, and then someone's behind a cardinal going,
No. Come on,
bless
man.
you, bless you, bless you, because the arms don't match the dead man. He's like, but it's, I swear, it's someone else's hands.
Are you serious? By the way, the Pope is not for Jesus. Nothing holy about that man.
Take a picture inside the mirror. You can stand in the room and count 5 people in the room, and you take a picture in the mirror. If there's 6 people, what the heck, right? Sorrel Weedhouse doesn't even have this picture that I'm going to show you. There's a woman on the other side of the room who starts losing her mind. She starts screaming, "Oh my God, you got to see this picture. You got to see this picture. You got to see this picture." And she runs over, she shows it to me. You can see me in the mirror. Looming above me, looking over my shoulder, is this gray woman, and she wasn't there. Have you ever been into a cemetery at night? So when you shine a flashlight on a statue in a cemetery, they're like gray. Those are the full body apparitions we would see, and that's what showed up in this photo.
Wow, that's spooky. The word impossible is only found in the dictionaries of fools. Wow, he wouldn't have sent me. I will either find a way or make one. I like that. I came, I saw, I conquer. Yeah. That's a good one. I'm not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. Man, that's too fast. Alexander the Great was Greek.
The FBI in Pittsburgh is warning parents of internet predators.
A group called the 764. It targets minors.
764 and its related groups draw inspiration from a satanic neo-Nazi movement called O9A. They operate in what's called the COM, short for the Community, a digital network of cyber criminals, and prowl on popular platforms looking for vulnerable children to exploit. They lure them into private chats, often disguised as supportive spaces for kids with eating disorders or low self-esteem.
The most horrendous part about it is it's minors doing this to minors.
Wow.
We're talking about 13-year-olds targeting 16-year-olds, 16-year-olds sextorting 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
Marc-Andre Argentino studies extremism and is a world expert on 764. He helps police around the globe, including the RCMP, understand what they're up against. 764's only ideology, he says, is violence.
There's no activism. They're not even worried about, the disappearance of the white race. This is actually a interracial community where they just want to be the most violent, the most misanthropic type of individual they can be.
Argentino says there are 764 cases in at least 24 countries. He works at Public Safety Canada. Tracking 764 here is now a top priority.
There are likely individuals in every single province. There's probably victims in every single province and territory in Canada. The impact that a single individual could have is massive. Some of these individuals, they're targeting dozens of victims on a daily basis.
And they do it for bragging rights and status.
My name is Trinity.
What status?
I was 14 when I was groomed by members of 764, and I was exploited for 3 years. It just became so painful. I didn't feel real. I didn't feel like a human being. We've tried to tell this story, and nobody's listened. Nobody believes it. It's too obscure. It's too obscene.
So a lot of people came to me and asked me to do things for them.
They would say, like, if you cut my name into your body, then I own you. I got threatened that they would send my photos to my school, my mom, my friends. They would tell everybody everything I've ever done. And like, it was really like terrible blackmail.
How scared were you?
Terrified. Absolutely terrified.
She would say, I need my phone back. They love me. If I'm not on the internet, they're going to tell everybody. They're going to show everybody. You have to give it back to me.
What would happen when you took away the phone or turned off the Wi-Fi?
She would break through drywall to get to me. She would get violent. For many months, I lived in fear that she was going to kill me. And I would sleep with a kitchen knife under my pillow. My animals were behind a locked door. Every door in my house had a lock code.
We first investigated 764 last year. It's when we met Ali Broadway, a young victim in Virginia.
I was scared to death.
He would say, if you don't do this, then you don't love me.
The FBI had just issued a public advisory about the danger of 764 and similar groups like CVLT or Cult and Harm Nation. It was accompanied by a series of arrests in the United States and Europe, including Bradley Cadenhead, who was only 15 years old when he created 764 in 2020 and named it after his zip code in Texas. He was sentenced to 80 years in prison for possessing child pornography. Since then, we've discovered the threat is only rising.
Wow. Protect your kids at all costs, once again, folks.
Michelle
Okay.
Martins tells the authorities that she gets off on inviting men over after meeting them on websites to watch them essay her 8-year-old son and her 10-year-old daughter, Victoria.
Did you allow these people to have sex with your children because you like to watch? Yeah.
She says she knows the signs that men are interested in her kids rather than her.
How did you get into that? Was it something you just wanted to try?
Just to see. Curious. Yes.
She says she only recently stopped because her new boyfriend Fabian moved in and he was doing all the assaulting himself.
What?
He even let his female cousin Jessica move in so she could partake in all of this. All the while, Michelle is watching.
God.
That's what she gets off on. But last night, things don't go as planned. As the assault is taking place, Fabian kills Victoria, Jessica holds her
my
down,
God.
and Fabian starts dismembering
Oh
Victoria,
my
severing
God.
off her limbs. Then they wrap her in a blanket, throw her in the bathtub, and light her on
Oh.
fire. That is exactly how the police find Victoria in the bathtub, in flames. But then, they find evidence that some of the interrogation clips of what Michelle is saying are not true. How could Michelle see all of this happening to her daughter when she's not even home at the time that this happens? Her cell data shows that she's been out of the house at the time that this takes place.
Oh my God. That's awful.
Want to hear about the Bigfoot War of 1855?
What? Yes.
Started with the Choctaw Native Americans and the farmers in this region of Oklahoma. They noticed that a lot of food and supplies were missing from their camps, from their homes, from their farms. And so like, what in the world is taking our stuff? They didn't think much of it, but it continued to get worse and worse and worse until women and children started being kidnapped. And it got to a point that the Choctaws set up a hunting party, and it was led by a man named Joshua LaFleur. But with this party, there was a Choctaw warrior. His name was Hamas Tubby. But him and his 6 sons, and this is what's crazy about this, were all over 7 feet tall.
Hold on.
And they weighed 300 pounds or more. They were called the Light Horsemen because they were such good warriors on horseback, even with their stature and size.
That's awesome.
They rode for a full day to this forest, pulled out his little spyglass thing, saw something, and he ordered the entire hunting party to charge. So they charged into the woods, and they came into an opening where the smell was of just complete death.
Oh no.
And they saw these creatures. They describe them as ape-like creatures scurry into the woods.
Okay. ¿Dónde está Bigfoot, mi amigo?
These paintings might know something we don't. This is the work of Remedios Varo, an artist of ritual and magic.
What?
Varo immersed herself in alchemy, astrology, and esoteric philosophy. They're surrealist masterpieces, but with unusual, almost invisible details. Varo used 23 artistic techniques to build these metaphysical dreamscapes. We know she painted with crystals beside her, but it's believed that she also used them to scratch the surfaces of these masonite boards before painting, imbuing the works with magic from their very beginnings. In La Llamada, or the Call, a figure emerges from a narrow, confining archway, glowing gold, bathed in celestial light, and holding magical tools. But around her, other figures remain still, asleep, and trapped in rigid structures. So perhaps Varo's work isn't just beauty to behold, but an invitation to wake up.
Creepy.
China has found an ingenious way to evade US tariffs, which has angered Trump, causing him to issue these severe punishments to try and stop them. Trump has hit China the hardest with his tariffs, and in his first and second terms combined, he's imposed a staggering 45% tariff on nearly all imported Chinese products. This has incentivized Chinese companies to look for loopholes that can help them avoid these heavy taxes, and many savvy investors were able to find a workaround as Chinese companies in recent recent years have been secretly buying up US companies to sell products directly to American consumers. This strategy has proven to be incredibly effective because most Americans don't even realize that they're buying from Chinese-owned companies. For example, 60% of surveyed Americans believe that Milwaukee Tool is a US company, with 41% holding a favorable view of the business. But when it was revealed to them that Milwaukee Tool is actually owned by Chinese investors, that favorability plummeted down to only 1%. In response to this, Trump signed an executive memorandum that specifically restricts all Chinese investors from being able to invest in US companies that deal in strategic areas.
Wow. China, man, they've been buying companies everywhere.
The massacre of Christians in Syria has just taken a giant, drastic turn in the last 24 hours as we approach this blood moon. I believe all things are related. What started as a civil situation has literally turned into search and destroy of all Christians, children, wives, anything. And people in Syria right now are risking being unalive to bring this news to you and hoping that you will share this news and that you will speak up yourself.
Covering my face now because I don't want anyone to see my face, because if they see me, they will tell me I'm from Syria. I live now in the city of Latakia. Please, please, please. The media is not showing you anything. The terrorists are killing everyone, children, women, teenagers, old people. Just kill. There's more than 100 bodies in my village now. Even in the city, they are just taking the children and the women and kill them. I don't know what to do with my mom and my two sisters. Please, you gotta help us. Nobody's talking anything about it. Not the social media or the TV.
Many of the Syrian Christians have all fled to this, I believe it's an airport. Meanwhile, they are being quite literally crucified. I've seen very dark videos of what's happening to children. Of course, I won't share them here, but the same thing's happening to the women, to the guys, to all of them. Even with this horrific event that reminds me of the Armenian G-word, the Bible talks about the celestial events being for times and seasons. We do know this stuff has been happening over there for a long time, but there's been a shift. And we really need to make people aware, and we really need to share their story so the world knows what's happening. Above all else, pray.
Let's pray for them, folks. Lord, keep the Christians safe in Syria. Place a hedge of protection around them. In Jesus' name, amen.
You will not believe what is happening to people in 2025. Entire families. It's happening right now, very close to here. Put extermination camps in the search bar. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's in Mexico. Allegedly, cartel extermination camps in Jalisco.
26% of employers admitted to discriminating against candidates based solely on their accent.
I don't believe accents are a problem. I believe articulation and pronunciation are. I've met people from so many different cultures, and anytime they don't have great articulation and pronunciation, I don't care what accent you have, mate. I have prejudice. Why do you think people from the UK are smart? There's this perception of it. Don't you get that? Where you're sophisticated. James Bond. It's because you articulate extremely well. Ooh. And you can have that level of sophistication and intelligence, and you can radiate that intelligence with any accent. I have students from India. The moment they improve their articulation, it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with your accent. For the longest time, they said my accent is a problem. I said, no. It's not a problem. And here's where we go deep. Your whole life, you've learned the mouth movements to speak the Indian language. Then when you go speak the English language, you're now using Indian mouth movements to speak the English language, which are the wrong set of mouth movements to speak this particular language, but no one teaches us this. And I use the Vietnamese mouth movements to speak the English language, therefore, accent and lack of clarity. So what did I have to do? Learn the set of English mouth movements. Completely changed.
Wow, that's smart. I like that.
Huge. Look at the surfer on the wave. I think that might be either Nick Van Rook or, yeah, it's Nick Van Rook on a bomb told by Cardozo. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Here's Clement and Cardozo. They're a team together. They're out here catching their waves.
That is crazy.
It's just beautiful. Wow.
Remember the movie Point Break? I don't have a religion. What I have is a relationship with Christ.
Here's how you know somebody has evil tendencies. And this is a simple law that has held throughout history, time and time again. It states the most dangerous people never have regrets, only explanations. And what that means is, well, do you ever notice how some people never admit when they're wrong? How they always have a reason, an excuse, a way to twist the situation so they're never at fault? How they act like the victim, even when they're the ones who caused the damage. Now compare that to someone who actually owns their mistakes, someone who doesn't twist the truth to look good, someone who doesn't make excuses, but instead makes things right. One of them is always justifying, the other takes responsibility. And so if you want to know if somebody has evil tendencies, don't focus on how they hurt you. Look at whether or not they justify it.
So people who have no sense of accountability are evil?
There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that died in the earthquake today. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different views, and this thing is absolutely terrific. And then we're going to hop back to the States and see what's happening here. I've seen videos in these buildings I'm about to show you, and my goodness, people just laid up in the rubble everywhere. I can't even say much about it, otherwise the video won't be allowed, but it's horrifying. And so this crane you're seeing right here, I'm gonna have it blocked. There's actually people in the crane, and when it went down, they fell out of the crane.
Oh my god.
Like, it's bad. This is the view probably half a mile from that main building that you keep seeing that exploded. This has to be one of the worst earthquakes that have ever happened in Bangkok. What you saw in the beginning was actually the aftermath of this earthquake.
Oh,
like all of
these
these buildings are just straight up destroyed, going down miles and miles and miles. So you may have seen yesterday that Texas was underwater, but have you seen what's happening in Mexico? You know, I've never in my life seen this much natural destruction going on everywhere. Once in a lifetime storms popping up every day in different states and countries.
Hey, by the way, we had that kind of floods a few weeks ago in Indonesia.
And it's also flooding in like 10 other countries right now. And while the flooding is going on, the Carolinas now has 10,000 acres burning in 0% containment.
0%?
Oddly enough, it's right around Lake Lure and those areas that got impacted by Helene. Not related whatsoever, but very odd. I'm telling you, the world that we live in today is very different from the one that we grew up in.
Yeah, man. We need to repent and give ourselves to Jesus Christ.
Anybody see the video that was going viral this past week of a worker that apparently had clearance to access certain parts of these tunnels that he was showing off on video? Probably not smart, but tunnels of which he showed being clearly underneath the airport. I mean, he showed himself walking into the airport and then eventually walking through numerous hallways of which he gained clearance into. And then he took an elevator down below, which seemed like levels down below, might I mention, and he proceeded to walk through this other hallway. And when he walked outside of the door at the end of this hallway, he showed these vast tunnel systems. I mean, these seem to have stretched out for well over a mile. It looked like you can even drive a fucking semi through them. It's actually crazy because on his video, you can actually see numerous individuals passing by him, some even wearing these full black suits. I mean, these things look like mining tunnels. And then he proceeded to talk about something, which is probably why his video just so happened to be taken down. He proceeded to speak about these aircraft that he claimed were hidden down below in various sections throughout these tunnels. He started mentioning how there's certain individuals apparently that have high security clearance that have access to those certain parts of the tunnels and shit. He even started to talk about Stargate and proceeded to talk about how apparently there's these areas located around the airport and shit that he mentioned open up for these aircraft to land, and then started talking about these programs. Programs that he stated consists of creating this new tech that apparently can do all this crazy shit. It's a weird feeling in general just being inside the airport. I mean, especially when you see all the murals that are put up throughout the airport. If you ever go, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, but it just feels like you're entering another dimension. I don't know how to describe it. It actually blew my mind because I actually used to live in Colorado. I flew out of Denver airport on many occasions. One of them actually being delayed because the electricity to the entire airport had actually gone out. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. There was a shit ton of canceled flights. It honestly looked like a fucking gigantic EMP just went off. And hundreds of us in the airport that morning actually heard this roaring noise go overhead, and the ground started slightly shaking and shit. It was crazy. I'm highly curious what's going to happen to this man, because a lot of people do talk about stuff like this, but they don't actually show videos of it, you feel me? And TikTok has been a reliable source somewhat in allowing us to actually watch those types of videos. I'm sure you can find some stitches and duets of that video if they're not taken down too, but it's really got me wondering at this point, what's really under Denver Airport?
Watch the JC Ventura, Denver Airport.
CIA, Tommy, I believed that you could have a cell phone, and if you turned off your cell phone, you couldn't be tracked. Or if you took out the battery from your cell phone, you couldn't be tracked. So if you ever wanted to get off the grid, just turn off your phone or put it in airplane mode. What I learned when I was at the agency is there are so many different types of technology on your phone. Your phone is built to survive even when the battery doesn't work. There's a technology out there, I'll give you one right now, called ad tech. Your phone serves you advertisements, and those advertisements relate to things that you've searched in the past and locations where you are. How does the ad tech know where you are?
Can't you turn it off?
You can turn your location off, but turning off your location does not turn off your ad tech. So they would lose money. So instead, they leave your ad tech on, you turn off your location, they still serve the ad to you as an amalgam, but they don't serve the ad on your actual device.
I wonder where they got that technology from.
What do you think they seal the back of the phone?
The craziest thing I learned while studying astronomy is that distances shrink when you travel close to the speed of light. Say you wanted to fly to the Andromeda Galaxy, our closest neighbor, just 2 million light years away. We build you a spaceship that gets really close to the speed of light. We can calculate that from your perspective, the 2 million light year journey has now shrunk to just 3 light years. This means for you, the journey lasts just 3 years, meaning you can go there and hang out with the aliens before flying back home to Earth and letting us all know what you found in under 7 years total. But when you get back, you will be horrified. 4 million years have passed back on Earth since you left. The planet is stationary relative to your spaceship, so they watched you fly there for 2 million years and then have to wait for another 2 million years for you to return. I know this sounds like science fiction, but it's real physics we have tested with experiments. If it wasn't true, your GPS on your phone wouldn't work right now.
They've tried to keep this quiet, but you're looking at the true face of Jesus. The science is clearer now than ever before. For decades, misconceptions have persisted, largely due to the 1988 carbon dating of the Shroud of Turin. However, recently released raw data from 2018 revealed critical errors in that original testing. Errors so significant that if this information had been available at the time, the original results would not have been published, and scientists would have demanded a retest. Using updated scientific analyses, we now know the shroud dates back approximately 2,000 years. Additionally, pollen and dirt samples place it specifically in Jerusalem for a significant portion of its history. The flax, a type of fiber used to make the linen cloth of the shroud, originates from Syria near Jerusalem. Its historical context places it directly in the time and location of Jesus. Right place, right time. There's only one logical conclusion. This is authentic. We've also enhanced the clarity of the face using superimposition and several advanced processes, even bringing it to life through animation. We hope to bring you a compelling series exploring this further soon. What do you think?
I like this face better than the first ones. Little by little, the man from the Shroud of Turin is being revealed. Our Jesus, our Lord.
The reptilian story, according to the Zulu. Part 1, the Chitauri. Before kings, before pyramids, before written words, they came. The sky cracked open with fire. Thunder roared like war drums. And from the heavens descended the Chitauri, the sky serpents. Not gods, not demons, something older. They brought light, but also chains. Their tongues spoke flame and control. And with a glance, they stole from humans what made us divine. Our memory, our power, our voice. They crowned themselves lords of earth, forced mankind to build, to worship, to kneel. Under their rule, fear became law. Symbols of serpents and dragons bled into every tribe. But not all forgot. In the shadows of mountains and caves, a few remembered the time before the fall and began to whisper. The Chitauri had given us order, but stolen our freedom. And somewhere in the blood of slaves, the spark of rebellion still burned. Follow and comment for part 2.
Interesting.
If you want to know if someone actually loves you and like they give you flowers, a good way to tell is if the flowers, like how long they last. Because if they last a little bit of time, that means they weren't given with love.
That's crazy because I've heard that multiple times as well.
And I mean, also people could say it's a stupid superstition because it could just be like a bad batch of flowers. But if it's constantly, bro, if you're constantly receiving flowers and they die really, really fast,
maybe they need to go to a new flower shop.
Well, what if they do?
Yeah.
What if they do? And like it just keeps happening.
There is different types of quality of roses. And shit,
Yeah,
you know
I do
that,
know,
right?
yeah.
Because there's certain roses that are grown in nature and shit. People just go and trim them, right? But then there's also certain flowers who are grown inside, like, you know, the
Greenhouse?
The greenhouses, yeah. Maybe that's also something adds to the superstition, but I have heard that superstition before, and even just from friends or family.
Yeah, friends or family. Always pay attention to the roses and how long they last, because I feel like it's always like a tell on like how much they care about you, how much they actually love you.
And it could also be true because plants and flowers, I guess they feed off of energy.
Of course, yeah.
Like, I mean, they do say that if you like talk to your plants and stuff, like treat them with love and shit, they grow more than if you just fucking neglect them, obviously, because they're off vibrations and shit. So it all depends on the energy, and if you want to get all the spiritual and technical, whatever, we are energy and vibration.
Oh, right.
Around the time Paul Walker passed away, there was this director that came onto the scene, and he started making a lot of movies. Okay, I'm gonna straight up say the movie. Yeah. You remember that movie about the child trafficking? Sound of Freedom. Oh yeah, I talked about that. Yeah. So that director, right? That director. Some people say he's very similar to Paul Walker. He has the same, like, very facial features, eyes, and everything.
So you think he reincarnated?
The theory is like he faked his death.
Yeah, substance.
Put out.
Come on, man.
I don't know how. Like, this is just conspiracy.
Yeah, that's sick.
But it's really interesting just looking at the pictures.
Let me see.
Because people are making these videos comparing Paul Walker to this guy. Look at him. Look at the eyes. Look at the face.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's related. Literally looks like he's related.
Yeah, they look like brothers.
So literally when Paul Walker passed away, this director came on the scene, boom, all these movies started coming out, and he's putting out more like activist type movies. Now check this out. Would he be able to do that at Paul Walker?
No, probably not, because that would tarnish his reputation.
Or even put him in danger.
You know, that's why we don't, pirates are the reason why we don't use the metric system as our main use of measuring, is because they that all the information was on a boat, and no joke, it got taken over by pirates.
What?
And so it came later, obviously, but after we had already established our own measurements.
Yeah.
And so, like, inside our own system.
Okay, yeah, so
A boat had to tell us the math that we already knew?
yeah, I mean, because they like the Europe came up with a one measuring system that would be like everyone's going to use this measuring system from now
So
on.
we
'cause
didn't know it
We
ahead
did.
of time.
Yeah, because
It was on its way.
We were
It
just
was
using
on its way, and it was pirated by actual pirates. And so,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's why we don't use it as our main
That
source.
is
Obviously, we
different.
use it for other things, but yeah.
That's so interesting. So it's like back before then, we were like, this is about 2 lengths of this rope.
Yeah.
You're about 7 bananas tall.
Bananas tall.
Dude, speaking of numbers,
Oh,
have you
man.
guys seen
I like
why
this guy.
numbers are shaped the way they are?
Oh yeah, I
It-
saw with the
With angles. Dude.
Cancer is not a disease, it's a survival mechanism. So cancer is not trying to cancer is actually trying to save your life.
Really?
It's
What?
creating a tumor, a place for all those toxins to be so that they don't spread to other parts of the body. Okay. When you go to a doctor, the first thing they do is say, okay, well, let's take a biopsy, where they prick the tumor and they see if it was cancerous or not. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, whether the tumor is cancerous or not, your passive treatment is still the same. So you don't actually need the biopsy. In fact, most people don't actually die from cancer. They die from the treatment of cancer.
Really?
Yes. And so when they take that biopsy, remember that we're dealing with healthcare, so there's no money to be made off healthy humans.
Right.
And so when they prick the tumor, they're opening it up and allowing the cancer cells and all the harmful toxins to now spread throughout the body.
Okay, I heard chemo terminates your immune system, but that one is interesting. Can someone enlighten me as to what's supposed to be happening here?
These women are worse than Diddy. All of them are worse than Diddy. They are out of control. And they did MK Ultra on me as an implant failure patient and started an implant failure charity. I was their experiment. How is a person with an implant failure going to react if we do MK Ultra on them? That's great. Now let's go start a charity and put implants in people and do MK Ultra on them. You have no business starting a charity where you put implants in people if you are the one that did MK Ultra on me as an implant failure patient. I need to be put into protective custody. This is insane. I just saw them commenting on patients' pages on TikTok saying, hey, how's your surgery going? Acting like they're trying to rebrand in healthcare. After you know I was tortured as an implant failure patient for 15 years and all of a sudden you're acting like a speech pathologist. You have a makeup brand. Go run your makeup brand.
She's talking about the Kardashians.
You guys heard of the Coral Castle?
It sounds happy though.
It does sound happy.
Ooh, you want to go take a trip to Coral Castle?
It's not scary, but it's weird, and it's in Florida. Homestead, Florida. So get this. This was in the 20s, right? His name was Edward Lead Scallion. But this dude lived by himself, had 10 acres, and basically built a castle all out of coral stones. He would only work at night with no one watching. He would move these giant blocks of stone by himself. And the heaviest stone at this place weighs 28 tons.
What? No, he did not. No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he
But
did.
the house is still there?
Yeah, it's still there. You can go see it.
And there's no confirmation that anyone helped him.
He had a bobcat.
Yeah, he was. All neighbors reported like he would only. Yeah. When asked like, how are you able to achieve this? He said, "I've learned the secrets of the pyramids."
Of course.
Cool. Share.
And he wouldn't
Go
share.
on.
He literally figured out levee systems and like how to use. I'm blanking on every word right now.
Anyone from Florida would like to drop a comment? What are you doing, Elon? Money doesn't buy coolness. Wow. True heroes come in many forms. These nurses deserve all the praise for their bravery.
I believe water is a scam.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, water's a solvent, so it's dissolving your body. The fact that people say it's hydrating your cells is crap. It's not a carbohydrate, it's not a fat, it's not a protein. It's literally a solvent. If you put any type of material in water, it dissolves it. That's what it's doing to your body. And same thing with water weight, and you drinking all this water and bloating. There's actually no benefit to it.
What?
If you want to hydrate, you have fats, you have juices, you have something that your cells can actually utilize. And this is probably the craziest thing ever. I've been saying this for 3 years, everyone on the internet. Like, if you actually look behind it and you think logically about it, water does not hydrate you. It dehydrates you. And I know it sounds crazy, and we can dive more in the topic later, but that's how I feel about water. So you don't drink any water? For the most part, no. I don't really need to. Maybe I'll have a sip here and there. Maybe, I mean, water is in raw meat. When you cook meat, what happens? Steam comes off of it. Right. So that's H2O right there. That's hydration going into your body if you eat raw meat. But if you're eating a bunch of cooked food and all this, you're going to get thirsty, and it's just an addiction. You look at the healthiest tribes in the world, they don't drink water. Even the Maasai tribe in Africa, they don't really have water. That's actually what they do is they take roots out of the ground and they suck on them.
I've seen that, yeah.
Let me know how you feel about this in the comment.
I seen Diddy. He rubs me on my shoulder. He asks me, how are you liking my house? And he kind of like startled me a little bit. I started to see unusual things, you know, people skinny dipping in the pool, P. Diddy running around like a crazy animal. But then I get something different from Diddy. When he comes to me and he's rubbing on me and he's asking about, do I like his house? I'm feeling like a dark energy, like in his eye. And I'm like, why is it giving scared? Like he's trying to, with his power, like, how are you liking my house? Like anything you want, let me know. Like, and then he tells me, go in the house till I look over it. And I see some little people, so I'm like, what's going on over there? They look dressed up, you know?
How old did they look, in your opinion?
Elementary.
11?
That is so disturbing.
That's crazy.
Maybe like 9, 10 or whatever.
What?
I mean, that's what I was trying to see. Like, how tall are these?
Yeah,
I just wanted the faces is what got me.
You know, being aware of this information and choosing to remain silent makes you equally responsible.
In fact, there's something because it's interesting. Somebody was flying by what they thought was a volcano in the 30s, some buzzboy. And he thought, hey, that's somebody built that. Wait a minute, there's 4 by 8 foot bricks. That's man-made. And it is literally the biggest pyramid in the world. It's bigger than the ones in Egypt, and it's in Guatemala.
El Mirador, often referred to as the lost city of the Maya, is an ancient archaeological site located deep within the jungles of northern Guatemala. This vast city, part of the Mirador Basin, was once a thriving pre-classic Maya center, dating from around 600 BC to 150 AD. It's notable for its monumental architecture, including the La Danta Pyramid, one of the largest in the world by volume. El Mirador's decline is attributed to environmental degradation and political strife, leading to its abandonment around 150 AD. Today, it remains largely unexcavated, covered by dense vegetation, symbolizing both the grandeur and the fragility of the Maya civilization.
Fascinating. Oh, why does it sound like Mel is whispering all the time? Ooh. Phoenix Forgotten is a 2017 film about this event, and it's pretty good in my taste.
Hey friends, so the CIA remote viewed the Ark of Covenant, and you are not going to believe what they found. This is mind-blowing. Check. So this secret remote viewing project was done in December of '88, and it was called Project Sunstreak. In the official report, it says training target 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. Wow, that's so huge. So the way they do these remote viewing projects is they use a process by Ingo Swann where the person doing the remote viewing has no idea what they are viewing. It's completely blind to them. Think about this for just a minute. This is an official CIA remote viewing session in great detail about the Ark of the Covenant. Oh, let's go. Alright, he starts by saying, this target is located somewhere in the Middle East, as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of Mosque Dome. He goes on to draw what he saw in the vision of the Mosque Dome, and throughout this he has a lot of sketches and doodles, and as is very normal with remote viewing sessions. He goes on, the target is hidden, underground, dark, and wet, were all aspects of the location of the target. Wet, mold, some more of his notes. Then he says, fortified, guarded, watched.
Guarded by whom?
Like you're asking yourself right now, watched by whom?
Yep.
He goes on, watched by whom? And then he draws a kind of a wall with a bunch of people standing on it. Or so we think they're people. He writes, mummies next to it. And goes on to explain that the walls around the Ark of Covenant are covered with mummy. Yes, mummies! Mummies are surrounding and watching the Ark of Covenant.
Mummies?
And I guess these are the spirits that are protecting it. We'll get into that. Let's keep... Target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to a coffin and is decorated with seraphim. Wow, wow, dropping seraphim bombs. If you don't know, seraphim are basically the angels of the Old Testament. And the fact he says seraphim is such an exact thing, because the way remote viewing works is you don't always see things. They call it remote viewing, but it's really remote sensing. You just get a lot of information. Some of it comes in visuals, but a lot of it just comes in a knowing, what we call downloads now. You just get this knowing. You're tapping in to this information field. So the fact he says seraphim is so profound. He goes on to actually draw the seraphim, which kind of looks like a phoenix as well. And you see this symbology in a lot of ancient stuff, you know, the winged birds and the serpents and that kind of phoenix looking bird. But the fact that he says seraphim is so, I think, profound. And let's keep going, because this gets even wilder. He goes on to say the purpose of the target is to bring a people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we now know. Woof, guys, holy cow, let's look at that again. He's talking about how this coffin, this container, has something to do with the resurrection. It has to do with bringing people together. It's a ceremonial type thing, and it's very spiritual, and it holds within it lessons and historical knowledge that are far beyond what we know now. Oh, there's some important stuff in this Ark of the Covenant. So then he is told to go to the container and open it and describe it as you go. So let's see what... Foreshadowing. The target is protected by entities and can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so. This container will not and cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. Okay, so there's a locking mechanism that basically is like on a time type of a thing, right? So it cannot be opened except at a particular time by particular people. So that kind of aligns with what we've been told historically, right? So the Ark of the Covenant is locked. The locking mechanism is fairly simple, but we can't open it. Only certain people can. It has to be a certain time. And if you try to open it prematurely, you are destroyed by the internal protection system, or I guess the entities protecting it. It seems like it protects itself, and there's entities protecting it as well, and you are destroyed if you try to open it. He goes on to describe the locking mechanism, some more descriptive words like spirits pop off the page there, and then goes into detail about what happens if you're one of the unlucky ones who try to pry it open prematurely without authorization. Destroyed, pain, anguish, terror, horror, quick death, scorched, burnt, power, forbidden, protected. Yeah, no, stay away from this thing. So just to recap real quick, somewhere in the Middle East, we come to find out later that they think it's in Ethiopia. The Ark of the Covenant is underground somewhere, in a room that's guarded by spirits with mummies around the wall. And there's seraphim on the Ark of Covenant itself. And that there's a locking mechanism, which is pretty simple, but it can only be opened by particular people at a particular time. And if you try to open it prematurely, you are destroyed. Now, the official CIA write-up at the end says, Viewer 032 attained excellent site contact. So that's their stamp of approval and endorsement, saying that this remote viewer did a great job in describing the blind target, which come to find out is the Ark of freaking Covenant, which they now believe is in Ethiopia. Holy cow, guys. Let me know what y'all think about this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.
Interesting.